Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Madam Tidarus Elias Majunus and I am from School of Government at University Utara Malaysia. So I am teaching undergraduate student in the Bachelor of Development Management program. The course is focused on the governance and development, and for this documentation, I will use GMGTK 2013 Sociology of Development as the main context. So, what is the course of GMGTK 2013 Sociology of Development? So, let me share a little bit about these courses. GMGTK 2013 Sociology of Development is a core paper in the Bachelor of Development Management program. So, the course is introduce students to key sociological theory and the concept that explain process of development and social change. It is actually cover a major framework such as modernization theory, dependency theory, and a world system theory, while also encouraging students to explore alternative perspectives. More importantly, the course highlight how this theory can be applied to analyze real development issue, policy, and the program in Malaysia, making sociology not just theoretical but also practical and relevant to the nation building. So currently, I am teaching a small group of 25 full-time undergraduate students, most of whom are there in their second semester. So this makes the course both exciting and challenging as they are still building their academic foundation while being introduced to the sociological perspective. Currently, I am teaching a small group of 25 full-time undergraduate students, most of whom are in their second semester. So this makes the course both exciting and challenging as they are still building their academic foundation while being introduced to sociological perspective. So that is my student. Of course, these courses will have the main objective. So, the students are expected to understand the basic concept of sociology of man's social society and the equation of development. Second, explain the concept and theories of sociology to analyze development issue and the problem of development. And the third is to identify contribution of sociology of development to the development of policy and country program development. Who are my learners? My students are second semester undergraduate in their early 20s. As a young adult learner, they are still in a transitional phase, which is moving away from teacher-dependent schooling towards becoming more independent and self-directed at university. So, based on my observation and survey, as emerging adults, they are passionate, curious, and energetic. They often express genuine interest in issues like poverty, inequality, or urbanization. However, even as a second semester student, they are continuing to face a challenging in what? In first is a complex concept which is moving beyond memorizing to the analysis issue. The second is a difficult in connecting theories to real-world application or to link the theory with a reality, connecting the abstract sociological theories with a real-life problem. And the third is the insufficient reading materials, and the fourth is a lack of the example. Therefore, to understand and support them, I apply Noam's andragogy theory, which emphasizes that adult learner learns best when their content is. The first one is relevant. They need to know why they are learning something. The second one is the problem-centered. Learning is the more effective when tied to the real-world challenge. And the third one is the experience-based. Prior knowledge and personal contact shape new understanding. So, what did I do in class? The first is I asked students to introduce themselves using the Padlet. They share who they are, their interests, and their expectation for the course. This activity is act as an identify mapping exercise that was allow me to recognize their background, motivation, and learning identification. Why? Because According to the Knowles andragogy theory, adult learners bring prior experience that shape their learning. By starting with the peddler, I acknowledge their individually and build a more inclusive learning environment, which is that can encourage and increase the engagement and ownership of the learnings. Next, I introduce mind mapping. Students can create visual maps of the concept like modernization, social change, and inequality and urbanization. This can encourage them to organize the abstract idea and build connection between theories. Why I do this? Because mind mapping support the Garner's multiple intelligent visual spatial learner and help promote deep learner by connecting new ideas with a prior knowledge. It is also can make the abstract concept more accessible for second semester students who are still adjusting to university level critical thinking. Besides that, I also encourage the peer learning. By working in the small group, students can exchange perspective, linking their personal experience to the sociological theory. This is very important to align with the principle that adult learning is social and experience based. Through peer learning, students develop autonomy, relatedness, key element in self-determination theory while also practicing collaborative of the problem solving. And the last one, finally, I will provide the clear structure and constructive feedback. As second semester students still adapting to university, I gave them step-by-step guidance to help them build confidence in navigating academic expectation. This is very important because the feedback is a critical factor in promoting self-regulated learning. By scaffolding assignment and giving constructive feedback, I support student competence and confidence, reducing anxiety and encouraging persistence. Overall, this activity has helped me to see that who my learners are and how best to support them. They are reinforced the idea that teaching adult learners is about valuing their identity, experience, and transition into more independent learner. So, how do I engage and motivate my learners? In JMJTK 2013 Sociology of Development, I always remind myself that students learn best when they feel involved and when the subject connect to their life. So I try to design activity that move them away from just memorizing theory and instead encourage them to reality things, discuss and apply what they learned. For example, during the lesson and on the inequality and urbanization, I asked them, how does urban development in Malaysia and create a new form of the inequality? So the moment I posed this question, the class came alive. Students started debating about the housing price, rural-urban migration, and even the struggle of low-income community in the city. It was rewarding me to see that how they could link sociological theory to the issue that had read in the news or experienced in their own surrounding. So, to keep their motivation high, I use a self-determination theory as my guide. I give them autonomy by letting them choose their own case study, whether it's the poverty, young unemployment, or community project. I build their competence by giving clear rubric and step-by-step feedback. So they know exactly how to improve. And I focus on relate through group work and peer feedback because I notice students become more confident when they feel supported by their classmates. Since my students have a different learning style, I also diversity my approach. Visual learners enjoy making mind map. Auditory learners thrive in the debates and discussion. And kinesthetic learners shine in the role play activity. For example, stimulating a community meeting where they act as a policy maker or NGO. So this small adjustment make a big difference in keeping everyone engaged. So I already provided evidence. So you can see, look at my evidence that I provided. So finally, I encourage self-regulated learning. Sometimes I ask them to write a short reflection or journal linking the theory we cover in class to what they observe in society. This not only shape their critical thinking but also help them to take ownership of their own learning. So for me, this strategic matter because they show that teaching sociology is not just about delivering the knowledge. It is actually about crafting the experience that motivates students to explore, question, and connect theory with the world they live on. So let's look at the evidence that I have been provided. So I received such a very good feedback from my student from the ISIWAS. So this is my feedback and I received from my student. So based on this model that I've learned, looking back at this module, I realized that teaching adult learner is really about transformation. This module actually is not only about the changing how students understand the sociology, but also about changing me as an educator. This model is very effective and helped me a lot to improve myself. Besides that, in GMGTK 2013, Sociology of Development, I have seen that how powerful it is when I apply the principle of the andragogy, deep learning, and self-regulated learning. Suddenly, abstract concepts like the modernization or equality feel relevant to my students, and they can see that how these ideas relate to the policy, program, and everyday life in Malaysia. Personally, I learned that my role is not just to explain the theory, but to help students to build connection and ask better questions and see themselves as a part of the bigger picture. This experience also remind me and the knowledge that I got from the Module 3 that I learned actually remind me that why I choose this profession to nurture future leaders and who can think critically and also act with the empathy and carry value like integrity and lifelong learning into their career. At the end of the day, teaching sociology of development is about helping students to realize that they are not just a learner but also potential agents of change, and that for me it is the most meaningful part of this journey. Thank you very much for watching for my video, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and bye.
So when we get close, just take my hand, baby, let's lose control. Even if it's a